Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the conversation at the Heart to Hearts Connection Summit, where we have been having great conversations about how we can move through our losses by creating new dreams. I am your host, Susan Peters, and today I have with me my guest, Damara Knorr. Welcome, Damara.
Hi, Sue. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you today.
I'm so glad that you're able to join us. Damira and I have had some really great conversations, and I'm really glad to have her as part of my summit because she's been mentoring me along in so many beautiful ways. So I'd like to share a little bit about Damira with you. Damira is an empathic guide who empowers and activates people to remember who they really are and to express the truth of that which resonates deeply with their highest self. Traversing the unknown and the unseen from a very young age, she is able to transcend dimensions and call upon many aspects of ancient wisdom. Her ability to ignite and activate the remembering of soul truths and divine blueprint allows her to guide people to be the leaders in their life. She is also the creator of something called the Flow Formula. Her family is her treasure, with 4 children and a husband who is her biggest fan. She is a lover of animals and nature, and she aspires to leave a legacy of love. And I can attribute that Damara definitely has a lot of love to share and is a very heart-centered person. She actually really touched my heart because I had been just watching one of her summits that she had put on, and I had a chance in through her offerings to have a one-on-one session with her. But I told her that I was too busy, that I really had a lot going on. I didn't want to take up her time. I knew I couldn't commit to anything else. And she graciously wrote back that she'd still like to talk to me anyway if I wanted to. And I said, okay, well, we'll just chat. Well, that chat ended up leading to one of the best relationships and some of the best conversations. I just feel so at ease talking with you, Damara, and you have actually been a really big part of my journey forward because you share things that are so you give me a chance to be me, and you give me a chance to learn who I am and not be scared of who I am and not be scared to step forward in new ways. And you constantly help me to improve on who I am and make my life actually more to the point where I want to live it and see what happens next. So thank you.
Aw, Sue, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And the way that we met and the way that our relationship has sort of evolved, you're like just one of my favorite people to have in my life. I'm very grateful to have you. And it really started out as just I wanted to have a connection with you. You reached out and you were so positive in your feedback regarding the different speakers I was having a conversation with. And I just felt your very giving, loving nature. And regardless of whether we got to have a working relationship, I'm always welcoming beautiful people into my life. I aspire to have those kind of people in my life, and you are definitely one of them. And it has been a joy and a pleasure to watch you really open up to who you really are and the power that you hold. And in the sharing of your story, I am honored to be a part of that with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Damara. I really appreciate that you did open space for me and want to make that connection because I really feel that connections are so important. We can't, when we go through loss, we can't go through it by ourselves. It's just way too hard. And that was why I wanted to create this summit, because every single person on this summit helped me to get through my loss. And you stepping forward to actually want to make a connection, even though I wasn't even not sure if I was willing to at that time, made a big difference for me. And it really showed me how sometimes we just can't see that for ourselves. We really can't see that until somebody helps us to look at it in a new way. And that really is something that I will always be very appreciative of. Um, as we have gone together and shared so many different conversations, I also would like to ask you something that maybe you have been through, a loss in your life, or an old dream that you had to let go of, that you might want to share some ways that you were able to get through that loss, or
Sure.
start up a new dream again.
Sure. Yeah, I think life is a series of letting go and surrendering, and I've definitely had my share of challenges. And a really big one for me was I kind of had this like 10-year period of where life just kept bringing me challenges regarding family members and illness. And it kind of like my dad passed suddenly, and that started a whole chain reaction of losing very special people in my life. And so I lost my dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, all within 6 months.
Mm.
And yeah, it was tough. Even tougher for my mother, who at the time was going through cancer treatment. So she
Mm.
lost her husband and both her parents
Ugh.
in a matter of 6 months. Plus, then she was doing treatment for cancer. So that was sort of like, it was a weird time to grieve, because I kind of put my grief to the side as I was supporting my mom, because like she was in the fire of it. She was in the very pit of her life completely transforming. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts. And so
Oh.
my mom had never lived without my dad, like outside of, she left her father's home to go to a home with her husband. So it was very tough on so many levels. And through, my mom eventually passed after 6 years of supporting her through cancer. And part of that grieving process for me was watching her change, and grieving all the way along that she was losing her independence. She had lost a lot of love. I had too. My whole family was grieving. And watch and having to sort of morph into, from being her daughter to almost being her mother or her caregiver, or even her pseudo husband.
Mhm.
um so that you look to your parents for guidance and support, and the roles had changed for us. I had become something different. I no longer had the role as her daughter, and so that was its own grieving process, of just allowing and like being a real grown up. Like I had to really stand strong and be like, no, no, no fooling around here. Like you're the grown up. So, that in itself was like, oh, like, I can't pretend, I'm young and foolish. So, taking on greater responsibility in that too. And then, when my mom did pass, I experienced all the grief that I'd put off for 6 years. It came just flooding in. And the grief of lost time with my children, lost time in my career, lost time with my husband. Like I was grieving all the time that I lost, but I was honoring and cherishing all the time that I got to be with my mom, because like she's no longer here, so I don't have that time anymore. So it's a funny thing, and I that, not funny and funny haha, but it's like this feeling of relief, yet this feeling of, I don't want that, I want you back, but watching her suffer. And I know you know how that feels. You watched your own husband suffer, and it's a really hard place to be. um and so I gave myself, honestly, I gave myself a year of just, and I would like cry in the shower. And I mean, I had 4 kids and I was running 2 businesses at the time. So I I still had responsibilities, and I was trying to allow myself to grieve. And so I'd cry in the shower for 5 minutes and wipe myself off. And um I went to Peru and did like a medicine journey, and like I did different things to sort of like release this grief and the guilt that I had. And then I kind of stepped into supporting women again, empowering women again.
Mm.
And I was holding retreats and I had clients again. And it was really like, it was like, oh, my soul is alive again. I'm living on purpose. I'm doing, you know, and then the pandemic hit and it was like, we shuttered, you know, like we shut the doors. It was like,
Oh,
oh no. So, you know, and then having that, and there's also this process of grieving control. Like I had just felt like I was getting momentum again, and wham, here comes the pandemic. And it was like, okay, now what am I going to do? I don't know. You know, I took a moment and, you know, I read a lot and I breathe a lot and I talk to my guidance a lot. I spend a lot of time in nature to sort of keep myself grounded because I am so empathic. When the pandemic hit, I was feeling everything. I was feeling all the crumbling and all of the information, misinformation, all of it. I was feeling every piece of it to the very depths of my core. And that took me some time.
oh
And
yeah.
that in itself had its own process of grief, of what we thought was and what it wasn't. That in itself started a whole nother process of, you know, I don't focus so much on grief. For me, it's surrender.
Mm, mm, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
surrender to the idea of what you thought it was going to be. And life is unknown and unpredictable. And there is no guarantees.
Yeah. That's so true. So many things that you said. I mean, loss of identity, the crisis of, you know, who am I right now? What is my role? You know, and then the collective loss through COVID and the opening of your heart in so many different ways, that that broke you wide open, really, right? Would you say that because of the being broken open, that it helped you to like go deeper into your heart in a way that you had never been before? And would
Yeah.
you say that that led you to some of your new passion and purposes that you didn't know were there before? Or would you say it led you on a new path?
I think it led me on a deeper love and reverence for myself.
Mm,
You know, when I looked back at all the things and I was really standing very like strongly in the middle of all of that and felt like I was kind of like holding a lot of things. And I think that I have a deeper reverence for who I am and a deeper appreciation that my heart is still wide open. I still I you for me I know myself deeper. Some of the empathic gifts that I have are razor sharp. They have become, and because COVID was so intense, I really had to sort of master the emotions that I was feeling. And not that I mastery all the time, and that's a process, and who knows what mastery really is, but better than I was, and not being crumpled under the sheets because everything was so intense. I think that I can navigate uh, the seen and unseen and being in this density and also honoring the energy that I feel. Um, and I think that I am so much more thoughtful
mm,
about how and who and what. And the other part of that is it's solidified for me that love is always the answer and kindness is always the way.
mm. Wow. Wow. I love that. Love is always the answer. That is just like such a beautiful way to look at things. And self-love is such an important part of that. And I can say that I did not realize how important self-love was until I lost John. And
Mm.
I thought my heart was broken. I thought I lost half of it. How do you ever get that back? Right. But like you said, once your heart's wide open, you look at things in a different way. And that helped me to find a place deeper inside of me that said that there was something bigger and that it was within me. We can't find that love without on the outside. No matter who we have, we're going to lose them someday around us. We have, that's the one guarantee we all have, that we're all going to die. And so to be able to go within yourself, that's the one thing that we can connect into and hold completely, which I found helps us to be able to share more love on the outside once we find it on the inside. And that's
Yeah.
part of how my journey has come about where I was able to find my heart and marry my heart and want to live from that space. So I really love.
Yeah, that honoring space. And
Yes.
it's a real cultivation in trust.
Yes.
You know, like for me, I receive information about people all the time. That comes to me. I know things, some things I don't even want to know. I'm like, I don't want to know that, you know. But for me, that discernment comes with, um, I think that everybody is their own best decider. I don't think you should ever allow somebody else to make decisions inside of your life. I think that you should always be the final say. And a learning that I have along just sort of the things that I know, and when you're also guiding and supporting people, it's very easy to want to give people the answers and not allow them to suffer through it. But in fact, you are taking something from them. So for me, part of my mission is for people to feel empowered, to know their power, to not like, don't surrender your power to me. I've had many incidences where people don't want to make decisions unless they've talked to me. And I get that. I understand that because I have access to a higher knowledge and I'm able to see things that maybe they can't see. And there's guidance and then there's taking away from somebody's journey. And I think one of the things that I'm really aspiring to do in the, let's say, transformation industry is to get away from this whole thing that we need to look to somebody else to give us permission to be who we are, is a big one for me.
And that's what I really appreciate about you, because that's what you have actually done for me. You have helped me to transform by going deeper in myself and looking for the answers. And I know I've come to you sometimes for, Damara, help. I need, can you help me decide, And you're like, no, you have to do it yourself, because that's how we learn. And that it has helped me become more authentic to who I am, and it has empowered me in a whole new way to find that I can do things that I didn't think I can do. I remember when one of our earlier conversations, when you said, just you should not just write things on your Heart to Soul Links blog. You should do a video. And I was like, no, I can't do a
I remember
video.
that.
And and you're like, you can do it. You need to use your voice. And like you just said, you need to do it. And you didn't tell me how to do it or what to do, but you said you just need to do it, try it. And I like kept putting it off for a while. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't. But then I kept hearing your voice say, you can do it, you can do it. And I finally did it. And one day I did it, and I was like, Damara, I did it. And so many things along the way you've helped me with to do that, including this summit. I a while back, Damara's like, you should do a summit. I'm like, no, I'm never going to do a summit. But you encouraged me. You didn't force me. You didn't put me in any direction. You just put the idea, this planted the seed. And eventually one day I thought, oh my gosh, I'm writing a book. I could do a summit and then launch my book with it, because it all goes together, because everybody that's in the book or part of my journey is a part of the message of the heart, of the deepening of the heart, going inside, learning to find the authentic self, and working out of self-love first, and then taking it out. And that is what I really appreciate you've taught me.
That was all you too. I cannot take any credit for that. The way that you saw your summit transpiring with your book and the things, the steps that you have taken, I just kind of like put an idea out there, and then that's what I really appreciate you about you is that you're willing to take a look at it. And even though you may be afraid, because let's face it, we all have reservations when we're trying new things. So, like courage is not the absence of fear, it's doing it anyway, right? And so I just really appreciate that you and your idea about how you want your book and how you want it to go is so much more, like you said, authentic than if I would have said, well, you should do this and this. From my perspective, possibly, but it's so much deeper from your perspective, and I appreciate that you are courageous enough. I've just watched you take these steps all the way along. It's just been beautiful to watch. And like your book is coming out and you're doing a summit and you're doing a second book. And I mean, you made a choice. You made a choice to honor the life. I'm not saying it's easy. You and I both know it's not been easy. We both, we've walked side by side and it's not been easy. But it doesn't mean it's not worth it. And I feel you honoring John every day that you take that courageous step forward. And I think that sometimes we get lost in the, like, I can't move on without this person somehow, I don't want them to be forgotten, or like we make up these ideas about what life is supposed to look like after we've lost somebody. And what I really appreciate about you is that you just keep defining your path based on what your heart tells you, and that you keep saying yes, and opportunities keep presenting themselves to you.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind every time, but every single person on this journey that led me and on my journey through grief has helped me to become stronger and helped me to build a foundation that I can stand on my own, that I can get through grief and whatever else comes my way, because we all are going to have to keep facing grief and loss as we go forward. I'm not ever going to be immune to it. It will happen again and again and again. But at the same time, it is, if we can build that foundation and have people around us to support us, but not tell us what to do, because if it comes from within and we have that extra support, it's all the power becomes all the stronger, and the chances and opportunities that we get to utilize
Mhm.
it and the people we get to touch are just, it just expands, and it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
We talked the other day about how, just turning the lights on, and
Hmm.
how that is for me, and I think for you too. One of the most beautiful things is to watch somebody start to believe in themselves, to trust in themselves, to start to show the depth of who they are. That is just like, I don't know. That's like, I don't know too many things better than that. Just to watch somebody be their authentic self is like, wow. It's like watching, the spirit of God, or that unknown being transformed before you. It's that light, that energy that turns on or amps up or expands. And I believe in unity consciousness, and everything that you do impacts me, and everything that I do impacts you too. So the more of us that are authentically choosing for ourselves, like I want the choice. And I know that people like to like deflect and default and not take responsibility for their life. But how do you know what your life's really going to be unless you step into that place where you're like, right or wrong, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. I'm going to surrender to my choice, or to what my feelings or my guidance are. And then I'm going to make another choice based on whatever happens. Like, that's freedom.
Yeah, yeah. And
Freedom isn't talking to somebody and asking them to tell you everything.
no.
That's not freedom, because you're still depending on somebody. I 100% believe, like, I love how you have built people around you to support you in different aspects of your growth. I think that was genius. And that's attributing to your yes, yes, yes. Um, we do need people who can see and pour into our life and give us perspective. I
Mhm.
100 I've had a coach. I am a coach. I've coached for years. I've had coaches around me all the time. I 100% believe in having people around you to connect and support you. Um, but I think that we are leading into individuality, but also the collective.
Yeah.
That's that unity.
Yeah. I have found that when you get yourself in, like you go 100% into yourself and connect 100% into who you are, that lets you start connecting in with all the other people who are going
Mm,
into their 100%. And then all of a sudden there's so many more possibilities available to us. And and it changes everything to this expansiveness and this beauty, that all of a sudden you start seeing the beauty in other people, and that we all have a
mm,
purpose, we all have gifts, we all have something to offer. And
yeah.
for me, when I look back and I see all the places where I could have said no because I was scared,
Mm,
and I said yes even though I was terrified sometimes, I have not regretted one of those decisions. And I
mm,
can never walk back through any of the doors I've walked through. And I have met the most beautiful people on this journey, and it just keeps expanding to another person, another person, another person, another person. And it makes me realize how precious this gift of life is that we
mm,
have, and how important it is to connect with one another. And that is why I wanted to do this summit as a heart to heart connection, because that is what's important, is our heart. Like you said earlier, what's the most important thing is love. What is the thing that makes us the wealthiest? It's love.
yeah.
And it comes straight from the insides of our heart.
100%. And even the way that something that, and this specifically came about when you and I were having a conversation, was um a lot of times perceived higher knowledge is seen, we think go through our crown chakra. And when you and I talked, and I was shown a vision of, you need to go through your heart first. And
Mhm.
that's really where we're going to. We're not going through the mind.
Yeah.
We're going through the heart. That's the new paradigm. That's the new place of connection. That's the new earth, or whatever you want to call it. There's a choice here. You can
Mhm.
stay in the mind this way, or you can come from the heart. And so even when we had that conversation, that the expansion of coming, asking for energy or information through the heart first, higher knowledge to come through the heart center,
Yeah.
that was a transformative moment.
Yes, definitely. It's a beautifully transformative moment to come from the heart space, and it's totally changed my life. And I appreciate all that you have guided me on. And this whole journey of marrying my heart and connecting deeper in so that I can learn to trust it and love myself 100% has changed my life and transformed my life. And so I know we're getting close to the time that we need to start wrapping up. And so before we go, I would like to ask you one more fun question about when I
Sure.
first told you about my dream to marry my heart. What did
Mhm.
you think about it, about my whole concept of this?
I thought that she is a world changer.
Mm,
That's what I thought. I
yeah.
thought, she's got the concept. She understands. She's going to change the world.
Uh,
She's a world changer. That's what I thought. I thought she knows what she's doing here. This woman is leading. You're leading with your heart. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were genius. I thought, wow. Mhm.
well, I know that it has led me to meet so many beautiful people and hear their stories of their heart. And so now I get a chance to share my story. But my whole goal is to connect with everyone so we all can share our stories and move forward together. So
Yeah. I love that about you. You are you are a living example of collective and unity consciousness and caring about one another from the heart and leading in that way. And I think you're just a shining example of that.
Oh, thank you so much, Damara. And I'm just so honored to be able to walk with another heart-centered person like you on my journey. That helps me to even be able to share my gifts more. Thank you so much.
I
Speaking of,
cannot wait for your book to come out.
ah,
It's beautiful. Your cover, I read your story again this morning before we got on, and I was just like, wow, it's the intensity of it and how you transformed it and the beauty inside of it is just, yeah, I'm excited for you.
thank you so much. I'm going to be glad to share it with you and the world, and see where we can take all of ourselves to a higher level.
Mhm.
I also is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners before we go?
Before we go, um, stay true to you. That's it. Stay true to you. Reach out if you need support from somebody. I, like Sue said, I am open to connecting with people. Um, I think that isolation is the worst thing we can do for each other, is to isolate, and the best thing we can do is for connection. Um, so be willing to just ask for what you need, permission to be you.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
love you, Sue.
I
Thanks
love
for
you
your
too.
time.
I love you too, Damara. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. We so appreciate you being part of our conversation. And we'll take care until the next one comes along. Bye-bye.
Bye.